What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. I'm Drew Dinkmeyer here with Mike Gallagher to walk you through today's 9-game slate in the association. Day after a lot of competitive, fun, entertaining games on Christmas. But Mike, back to the grind. Lots of mid-sized slates, 6 to 9 games, kind of over the next couple of weeks. How are you doing today?
Doing good. Yeah, had a nice Christmas time with my family. I enjoyed the off day on the Christmas Eve. Got got a little work in, wrote matchups, did the show with you, got to play some golf. It was a good time. But yeah, we're back. A lot of back to backs. It's going to be a busy month. Got Martin Luther King Day coming up pretty soon. This is always a steady. At least it's steady, right? I don't like these like 15, 14 game slates. So should be fun. But yeah, lot of NBA in our lives the next month and a half.
Yep. In terms of the schedule, you mentioned front end of back-to-back or back-to-backs being a part of our life. There are a number of teams on the front end of back-to-back. 6 of the 18 teams in action tonight. Brooklyn, Houston, Indiana, Orlando, Memphis, and New Orleans are on the front end of back-to-backs tonight. So we'll talk through that. At the Dynasty asking why is Scoot the cover boy today? Does Mike have some secret info? Mike and I have no impact on who the cover boy is. That is just our content creation team picking random players from time to time. So I don't no secret info, Mike, unless I'm unaware on Scoot Henderson. Okay.
Nope.
Let's get into the game by game. Let's start with Charlotte and Washington. On the Charlotte side of things, they're without Trey Mann, KJ Simpson, Nick Smith Jr., and Grant Williams. Brandon Miller listed questionable here with the left ankle sprain. What are your thoughts on his availability tonight?
Yeah, Miller's missed the last 3 games. It's been 10 days, though, with this spread out schedule here. So tough to get a read here. Didn't look terrible. We talked about this, that he rolled his ankle and then rolled it again, and he's missed the last 3 games. So I think he's back. Don't have too much to go on other than the fact that it's been 10 days and they've been, it just seems like he could be back here. So don't have too much to add there. Obviously, if he did start, that should remove Cody Martin out of the first unit and then cut Josh Green's minutes a little bit as he would compete with Cody rather than playing alongside him. I feel pretty good Seth Curry's minutes are completely gone if Brandon Miller's in there. And then, we'll see if Isaiah Wonk could kind of beat out Daquan Jeffries, who's been playing pretty well for them. So those guys are kind of vying for the back end spot. Maybe LaMelo won't shoot as much there, but Miller would start with probably a little bit of a cap. I mean, we saw him touch upper 30s. Tightish spread here. These two teams are quite bad, vying for the Mike Gallagher bad basketball game of the night. There's another one we'll talk about later. And then the center split, they're still splitting at 3. Mark Williams still on that 19-minute cap. Maybe it comes up a little bit, but I feel pretty strongly it's going to be a good week and a half, 2 weeks before he's playing like 24 consistently.
All right, Washington side of things. No Marvin Bagley, no Sadiq Bey, no Kyle Kuzma. Questionable tags on Carlton, Bub Carrington, Bilal Coulibaly, and Alex Sarr. What's your read on the 3 questionable tags for Washington?
Yeah, Bagley's knee injury looked really, really bad. I haven't got an update yet on that, but he's out for weeks, if not longer, months, maybe season. It looked really, really bad. Bub's injury is new. Had a fall. I don't think it's severe. Probably going to play through it. We saw him play through the illness tag, a couple games ago. So I expect him to play. We saw Bilal Coulibaly miss the last game for the hurt, last week. Doesn't sound serious. Might be back, but the Wizards might just they want to play these guys. And Justin Champagnie and all that. So Champagnie would probably start for him again. That's kind of where we're at. But I think all those Q tags should be in, but not really going on much. The Wizards, like I said, haven't given us much. They haven't given us an update on Bagley yet. I think, and then Sarr, we saw him miss the last one as well. Not serious though. He was a late add a couple games ago. But all these sound pretty minor. I think most of them are in, but the Wizards might just tank it. But Bilal's been a pretty valuable piece for them. The Hornets are also not very good. They did beat them last week. So it might be a tank situation, but all these guys are just basically day to day besides Bagley, who is again going to be out for a long period of time.
Yeah, there's no real incentive for Washington to be worried about that at this point in the season. They have only 4 wins, and New Orleans has 5, and then there's a bunch of teams with 7, Charlotte being one of them, but I think just it's pretty early in the season to worry about that. Remember, bottom 3 teams all get the same odds, so not substantial incentive there. If all 3 of the Q tags were in, we're talking Valanciunas out of the starting lineup for Sarr, Who is the starting lineup for Koulibaly in that instance?
I think it will be Champagny, but they seem to like him there. Yeah, I think they want to start Bub. They did go. I mean, they went 3 guards against really big
Yeah.
OKC, so I think it would be Champagny getting the boot.
Okay, let's go to Miami and Orlando. Before we came on, there's been a lot of rumblings and rumors about Jimmy Butler, trade rumors, requests. Pat Riley made a statement saying that the Heat are just not going to trade Jimmy Butler, so we'll put that to bed. We'll see. If Pat's a pretty, indignant fella, so I would think that there might be some spite going on between these two at this point. But in terms of tonight, Jimmy Butler is doubtful with return to competition reconditioning. He did not travel with the team. There were some notes that because the game is in Orlando, he could just travel the day of. It's not very far. It's a couple-hour drive. Done it many times myself. But he's doubtful. Nikola Jovic is available with the left ankle sprain. Pele Larson available with the right ankle sprain. Josh Richardson out with right heel inflammation. Terry Rozier questionable with left knee inflammation. And then Drew Smith is out for the year with the left Achilles tear. So how does this rotation look in the absence of Drew Smith, the likely absence of Jimmy Butler, and the potential absence of Terry Rozier tonight?
Yeah, as you noted, the tag change, the reconditioning tag is a little bit odd. That stomach. We saw him hurt his ankle and then get the stomach illness and been out for that reason. And had been listening with the ankle. Obviously, the trade stuff that picked up Shams Charania. You got to get that Christmas Day content out. He loves it. Whenever there's a big ESPN situation, like Shams is on it with this situation there. So yeah, I think they would just run this back. As you mentioned, Drew Smith Achilles tear, really really tough scene. He was almost, I would say, a lock to get that last roster spot, and they actually locked it up today as they basically moved Isaiah Stevens into the two-way spot from Keyshawn Johnson there. As Keyshawn Johnson now has a full contract and won't be on two-way counting, yada yada. So I think they start the same way. We've seen Jaime Jaquez start. Actually, I take that back. They did go big the last time they played Miami, and they started Jovic. I haven't checked these minutes yet, but there's a chance they go big again here because Spoelstra said that was the matchup there. But the Magic aren't big anymore. So because they lost some injuries, they lost Franz. So I don't know. I think they kind of go back to where they were. So I think it's still going to be Hero, Duncan, Jaime, Haywood Highsmith, Bam, and then the bench. Jovic should be in the rotation. Khalil Ware's locked and loaded. I think he's going to get all the non-Bams. We'll see if Alec Burks can get in there. Pele Larson's earned some minutes here. But yeah, maybe they play Keyshawn Johnson a little bit, but I feel pretty good that starting five, the core bench guys of Jovic, Ware, Burks, and Pele would carve out most of that time. And it's Miami, so we'll give a lot of guys minutes because Spoelstra can kind of throw some curveballs at us.
Yeah, and then if Rozier is available and back, who do you think that is most likely? Is Burks the first person that's most likely to be impacted there?
Yeah, it should be Burks. If Rozier is in there, again, we called this one, man. He got late day ad with probable in the last game. We say, hey, this is a BS probable tag. He's probably going to be questionable if that, and he didn't play. So good read by us there. But yeah, I think he's okay. It doesn't sound serious again. So if he's in, that should remove Burks from the rotation, or at least we think we'll hedge it for sure.
The Magic side of things, still without Paolo Banchero, no timeline associated there. Still without Franz Wagner, and they've lost Mo Wagner for the season. They've got a questionable tag on Gary Harris with a left hamstring strain. What are your thoughts on Gary Harris's availability tonight?
Yeah, he's been getting this Q tag for a bit, and they haven't been playing him. So, I mean, we'll have him in. I think he's going to play, probably be limited. A guy with a pretty severe history of hamstring strains, so he will have a pretty big cap on him there. Obviously, the big storyline was they started Trevelyan Queen against the Celtics. He was really good, 17 points, 34 minutes. His minutes should come down a little bit. I don't think there's any reason why he wouldn't start. Comments from Jamal Mosley saying that they've been bringing him to and from their G League team, and he's ready to play. So I think they start the same. Those minutes from Gary Harris could cut into a little bit of him. Tristan Silva feels pretty locked and loaded and is, quote, not playing like a rookie anymore, according to Jamal Mosley. So I think the starting lineup remains the same. Gary Harris probably coming off the bench. Jonathan Isaac just not playing a lot of minutes. And then Wendell Carter did play right behind Goga Batadze, as we speculated, without overlap. We'll see if they do overlap him a little bit. We have some overlap projected in there. And then Cole Anthony's minutes were cut down quite a bit as he He mostly played behind Jalen Suggs in this game. He did get a little bit of overlap.
He also had foul trouble in this
Yep.
one too.
Yeah.
That cut him down
And
as well.
fouls too. Yep. So yeah, he should be getting most of, if not all, the Jalen Suggs minutes. Jalen Suggs did return from the ankle, looked generally okay for the most part. So he's going to kind of battle through that. There. And then one last note. That Cole Anthony game obviously was against the Miami Heat with the way they played all that drop against him. I think Miami's scheme change would be a little bit different defensively, but you would think, given how he crushed Miami the last time they played, that he has a little bit more leash in this one.
Yeah, he's the probably the most difficult guy to project on that team because look, the Orlando Magic have a type. The type is not Cole Anthony. The type is, if you've noticed, Trevelyan Queen, who just got elevated from completely out of the rotation to starter, is like guys who will compete and defend at a really big level, are physically aggressive. They love those guys, right? Obviously, Jalen Suggs, they've built around Jonathan Isaac. Is that type of guy. Anthony Black, they want to be that kind of guy. Tristan Da Silva, they want to be that kind of guy. Goga Batadze and KCP are those types of guys. So Cole Anthony does not fit that mold, but he's one of the few guys that can create his own shot on this team. And they are really, really lacking shot creation right now. So it's one of these things with Cole Anthony where, like, if he gets hot, he's going to play a lot. If he starts out and he's not shooting the ball very well, they could just completely bury him. So really wide range of outcomes on Cole Anthony projection. One of the tougher ones that we have to deal with on the Magic. Okay, let's go to Oklahoma City and Indiana. On the Oklahoma City side, injury report's the same as it's been for the last few weeks. No Chet Holmgren, no Nikola Topic, Adam Flagler, Alex Dukas. The difference here is no Alex Caruso with the left hip strain. So how does OKC line up tonight in the absence of Alex Caruso?
Yeah, it should be. They'll probably play a little bit bigger. We did see Jalen Williams, the big return there, and had just 8 minutes. He'll probably play maybe a little bit more. But yeah, they're going to play AJ Mitchell. AJ Mitchell is a staple in the rotation according to Mark Daigneault, so he's locked and loaded for minutes. I don't know if they add anyone. We saw them when he was out earlier. They were bringing in Dylan Jones and playing just a little bit deeper. Dylan Jones not listed on for G League, so he might sneak in there. I kind of don't think so. They've got enough right now that you got J. Will. Certainly, Kenrich can play a lot of 4. So you got the starting 5. I mentioned AJ seems like a lock. Aaron's pretty good. Kaysen, if they start him back there, that's already 8. I'm sorry, 9. So yeah, they've got plenty of guys here, but not a back to back. And a team that's playing well. So I think that they play this tight-ish, and he's playing pretty well. But again, they've got plenty of guys to offset Caruso being out. I feel pretty good about Wiggins playing because Wiggins is a pretty good defender. So Wiggins, we saw his minutes kind of stumble a little bit. Now with Caruso out, he should be pretty stable.
Starting lineup, you think we go back to Case and Wallace here in the matchup over Isaiah Joe?
Yeah, I think so. The Joe minutes haven't been going very well. I think you want another defender there for Halliburton. They didn't want to go that route. So I would lean Kaysen, but not that confident. Never am.
Yeah. Also a team in Indiana who really does like to take away that 3-point line. So Isaiah Joe's value a little bit less enticing as well. Matchup for our injury notes for Indiana. Isaiah Jackson, Aaron Nesmith, James Weissman remain out. Nesmith coming along, but still not quite there. Enrique Freeman, Quentin Jackson, Tristan Newton, Miles Turner listed questionable. So Miles Turner listed questionable with the right oblique contusion. What's your read on his availability tonight?
Confusing listing. He rolled his ankle in the last game and had to get retaped. So I don't know about the listing there. But it wasn't. He got retaped. He was fine. He played great. Had 23 and 10, was really, really good. So I would assume he's in. I think they are back to back. Yep, they are.
They are.
So that could be part of it too. So I think he's in. Obviously, if he's out, I think they would just kind of go. I think they would start with Thomas Bryant, but we know OKC, they play pretty small in the second unit. Obi Toppin's been playing pretty well. So he would certainly benefit in a big, big way. But yeah, I think Miles should be in there. It doesn't sound very serious. Yeah.
Is just notable the questionable tag for Enrique Freeman in addition to the questionable tag for Miles Turner, right? Like they listed all their G Leaguers questionable, so you don't want to read too much to it. But we'll just note that like that is another potential incentive here to like, hey, you might be seeing Enrique Freeman available if Miles Turner is out.
Yep. Yeah, I
Okay.
could do the G League tracking, but they put questionable tags on their guys all the time, so it's not like
Yep.
a kind of a big tell yet. But as you noted, if he does get upgraded to available before we get Miles status,
Yep.
that could be something that could give us a hint.
Yep. All right. Chicago and Atlanta on the Chicago side. No Lonzo Ball tonight, along with their G Leaguers. Then questionable tags on Josh Giddey, Ayo Dosunmu, and Montas Pizelis. The questionable tag for Montas Pizelis, we should note, is an illness tag, the same illness tag that is keeping Lonzo Ball out. And then Ayo listed with right Achilles tendinopathy, not an encouraging listing there. And then Josh Giddey with the same ankle sprain that he's been dealing with. What are your notes here on the Bulls?
Yeah, so Giddey was targeting Monday to return. He did not. So pretty good chance, he missed. And again, we talked about the word hopeful a lot all year. He was basically hopeful to play Monday. So pretty good chance he's back now that this is a couple days past his target date. So I kind of think he's in. As you noted, Lonzo got the midday downgrade, and then Matas got the midday downgrade to Q. So we know those midday Qs are really, really doom and gloom. So it definitely could see him missing here. Obviously, that would. They've got guys. They could play Terry Moore. Obviously, THT would play more. Julian Phillips. All those guys would be pretty stable. But yeah, other than that, Giddey would start. Ayo, don't know what's up with this one. Again, terrifying. I wouldn't say terrifying, but discouraging listing. There could be, it's not a back-to-back either. I didn't see anything on it. He subbed out basically normal time as he was subbing back out for Kobe White in this game at a normal rotation. So nothing I could tell as far as this one, but definitely could miss this one. Been playing a lot there, so it would be. I think he's going to the bench either way if Giddey's in. So I think the starting lineup, assuming Giddey's in, would be Giddey, Levine, Kobe, Vooch, and then Patrick Williams, who is still on that 20 to 24 minute limit that should stick. And then, as I mentioned, the bench. Obviously, if Ayo didn't play, that would be really good news for THT and Julian Phillips Mattis. Would get the bulk, and that's a pretty solid 9-man right there.
Yep, and if they're without both Ayo and Mattis, you might be in a position where it's interesting. Where if they're without Mattis, you might shift Giddey to a little bit more of a forward kind of position, and then you'd have Ayo, Levine, White, Taylor Tucker to handle like all the guard minutes. But if you're without both of those, then Giddey might go back to more of a guard type position, and then you open up kind of the Julian Phillips, Dalen Terry's to kind of replace that situation. So they have enough guys though, kind of either way. But who the guys are, something to pay attention to tonight in a matchup against the Hawks, who've been playing really well on the whole. The Hawks injury report: Bogdanovich questionable with a left lower leg contusion. They're without Onyeka Okongwu for that knee inflammation, and then they got a questionable tag on Trae Young for the right heel contusion. So what are your notes here on the Hawks?
Trey's been getting tagged with his heel stuff. Should be okay. Did play in the last game. Was generally fine. And then Bogdan, as you noted, gets a Q tag for this one. Missed the last game for the leg contusion. Doesn't sound serious. So I think he's back, but definitely can miss another one. And they had Garrison Matthews, who's the best shooter in the NBA. He passed Jokic for best jumper efficiency with his 7 of 8 shooting, 7 from 7 threes. So shout out to Garrison Matthews there. His minutes would probably go almost away. They still need a point guard here with to play behind Trae. So not a great lean on Bogdan. Obviously, we'll see, but doesn't sound serious. He should be in there.
Okay, on to Brooklyn and Milwaukee. On the Brooklyn side of things, still that boy on Bogdanovich, Cam Thomas, Trendon Watford, and Zaire Williams. And then, of course, D'Anthony Melton lost for the season. We have a Ben Simmons questionable tag. It is the lower back injury management tag. Should note they are on the front end of a back-to-back here. So I think this is just a back-to-back related tag, meaning he's likely to miss one of these 2 games. And then Dorian Finney-Smith is questionable with a left calf contusion. What's your read on those 2 questionable tags for Brooklyn tonight?
Yeah, so Dorian Finney-Smith said he's going to play, and if this is a back-to-back, you would think that it means Dorian's in today, out tomorrow, Ben Simmons out today, in tomorrow. So that's my read on it right now. We have them both in projections for now, but for now, I would say Ben Simmons has a pretty decent chance to miss this game, which raises a pretty interesting question on who starts. We've seen him handle the ball a ton, and they're not very deep. Obviously, the Schroeder trade really hurt them. Trendon Watford being banged up as well. So they would, and Trendon Watford, you may not think of him as a 1, but they ask him to handle a ton. So Shake Milton might be in the starting lineup here. I don't know. I don't think they would go that big where like we see Noah Clowney start for Dorian Finney-Smith. So I think Clowney would get bumped to the bench for Dorian Finney-Smith, assuming he's back. Just because, I mean, a starting lineup of, Dorian Finney-Smith, that's just too big. We've seen like
point Cam Johnson. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, right.
That would be that iteration of that starting lineup.
Yeah, exactly. So, so I think Shake's going to start for Ben, and then Keon's hasn't been handling that much for them as well. Just to note that, who has played point guard in the past. So I think right now I would say the starting lineup is going to be, again, I think Ben's going to be out. Again, he's in projections right now. So I think it's going to be Shake, Keon, Nick, Cam Johnson, and then Dorian Finney-Smith, Noah Clowney bumping back to the bench. But he's been great. Noah Clowney's been playing pretty well. So those guys, Jalen Wilson off the bench for sure. Damian Sharp will cover the non-Claxton minutes, and then Tyrese Martin should cover the bulk of the rotation.
All right, let's go to the Milwaukee side where Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard are listed questionable. The tags are notable, though, because they're listed with non-COVID illness questionable. The other players on the team that have this tag, Chris Livingston and AJ Johnson, are both listed with that same tag for out as well. Chris Middleton probable here with the bilateral ankle surgery recovery, and Liam Robbins, the G Leaguer, listed available here. Interesting notes on the non-COVID illness listings for Milwaukee. What's your read here?
Yeah, to your points there, Giannis Antetokounmpo was originally listed with the back spasms questionable tag last night when they first filed, and that has flipped to an illness tag. They're not even listing him with back things, so he's got two things going on there. Yeah, illness tags, man. We talk about this a lot this year, so don't have a great read there. Dame, again, we saw him miss time for a calf injury. They flipped him, I believe, last game from a calf listing to an illness tag. So these two guys are both dealing with two injuries, illnesses, I should say. So yeah, don't have a great read on the illness part. Never really do. But definitely a chance. And then the fact that they basically Giannis getting this late change, I would say Giannis might be even less likely to play than Dame is, just from the timing of this illness stuff coming around. So yeah, again, not a great read. Obviously, if they both didn't play, would be the same starting lineup we saw in the last game: Ryan Rollins, Andre Jackson, Brooke Middleton, and Bobby Portis. If one of them is back, basically Ryan Rollins is taking Dame's spot. So if Dame's in, Ryan Rollins goes out. If Giannis is in, that's Bobby Portis going out. So that covers most of that. Other notes: Chris Middleton still on that 25 cap, has been playing really well with the 25 cap on him overall. And then obviously the more and more guys that are coming in, that's going to be, besides the guys I mentioned, DeLon Wright's minutes come down, Taurean Prince minutes come down,
right?
And Taurean Prince is kind of stuck off the bench. We talked about this last time that Doc Rivers, we saw Middleton start the first game Giannis missed over the weekend, and Doc said they were going to start Middleton regardless. So it looks like Middleton's kind of locked and loaded as a starter, as they will try to attempt to keep him under 25 minutes.
All right, let's go to Houston and New Orleans. On the Houston side of things, they're without Dillon Brooks with right ankle soreness, but they potentially get back Tari Eason, who's got a questionable tag with a left lower leg injury management. What's your expectation on how the Rockets deal with the absence of Dillon Brooks and the potential return of Tari Eason?
Yeah, Dillon Brooks, we saw him tweak his ankle in Toronto, was not listed for the Charlotte game, and then late scratched him there. That led to Ahmed Thompson starting and playing extremely well in the first unit, as he tends to do. So yeah, it'll be the same starting lineup for sure. Assuming Dillon's is going to stay out here. So Fred VanVleet, Jalen Green, Elfrid Sengun, Ahmed Thompson filling in, and then Jabari Smith. Minutes have been really strong with or without Brooks, and now they're really stable. But as you noted, Tari Eason was at shoot around, got shots up, looked good, according to Jonathan Fagan, one of their beats. And we talked about this. This is the same leg he had surgery on, and they've been sitting him out in non-back. They set him out both back-to-backs and a non-back-to-back here. So considering the nature of the injury and the fact that they've been sitting him out, I think he's got a cap on him. So he might play like 20 minutes. They're going to be careful, man. They don't want to mess around with this guy. We saw them hold him out in the preseason non-back-to-backs. And they were careful of sitting him out back-to-backs earlier this year before letting him go. So they don't want another setback on this guy. So I'd expect him to be in and limited. And that should, I think, keep Jae'Sean Tate and Cam Whitmore alive. Cam Whitmore played great in the last game. We talked about him being a sea turtle on the DFS show. Got a little bit lucky because of the Dillon Brooks stuff, but really good output from Cam Whitmore. Expect those guys to be pretty stable. I think they'll be okay playing with size. But yeah, Cam Whitmore kind of back to life here for the rotation for now.
Pelican side, they have out listings for Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, Carlo Makovich, and Jose Alvarado, and then questionable tags on Trey Murphy, left ankle sprain, and Javante Green, right knee soreness. What are your notes on the Pels?
Yeah, Trey Murphy actually did media with the Pelicans. Didn't look like he was really in a lot of gear. And he said he had to, quote, take care of this ankle thing. It's not serious. It is day to day. It did look kind of bad. But yeah, he also has a contusion he's dealing with that he mentioned when he did media at practice. So kind of leaning out here. We have him in projections for now, and we will for the day. If he didn't play, I feel pretty confident that it would be Jordan Hawkins, who really, really stepped up in the last game with 34 minutes and really his first kind of like freed moment since he hurt his back. He's still been kind of dealing with that back injury, but obviously playing 34 minutes is a pretty good sign that he's ready for a full workload. As you mentioned, Javante Green also dinged up. Wouldn't be a big deal, just 14 minutes. But if you're taking away Trey Murphy, then you're talking about a lot of minutes that need to be replaced. Just from a role perspective, I think they might bring Jamal Cain in just because Jamal Cain's more of an on-ball defender, which is what they asked Javante Green to do. But again, that would be more minutes for Hawkins, more minutes for Brandon Boston, and then potentially these other guys would play heavier minutes in their first unit. And yeah, shout out to Yves Missi, playing pretty well and some tough matchups. He's had some Joker. He's gone up against Şengün in the last week and somebody else and I'm forgetting. He's been playing great.
I think.
Sabonis, yeah. Okay, Sabonis, yeah. So, so that's pretty much where we're at. But yeah, I think Trey's slightly, on like call it like a 50. I'd say like 55-60% out.
Okay. Toronto and Memphis, let's go there. On the Toronto side, no Emmanuel Quickly, no Jakob Pertl, no Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown never got past that return to competition reconditioning tag. He's now back to the right knee surgery injury management tag. And then questionable tags on Jamal Shad and Jacoby Walter. Jacoby Walter, a late addition with an illness tag. So what are your read on some of these rookie backcourt players for the Raptors?
Yeah, Shed missed the last game for the knee contusion, so same tag, Q tag. Doesn't sound serious. He might have a chance to return there, but don't have too much to add, as you noted. The late illness tag, we know how that goes, so decent chance he misses. Obviously, if he did miss, that would probably make both of Jamal Shed and Davion Mitchell safe from a minutes perspective. If they're both in, meaning Shed and Walter, what's up with Davion Mitchell? We saw 2 games ago, Davion Mitchell was a DNP CD after suffering a shoulder injury at practice, I believe, on Thursday. Missed 1 game back and then got in there because maybe because Jamal Shed missed. So point I'm making here is Davion Mitchell is a risk to DNP CD here if those 2 rookie guards are in. Also, Kelly Olynyk's minutes came down in the back-to-back after getting boosted up in the first game. So maybe he plays mid-20s again. They're pretty comfortable with him, it looks like, after the back injury was capping him there. And then lastly, Scotty Barnes playing through some bruises, according to Darko. Had mentioned that he has a contusion he's been playing through, not listed, but just something that could kind of be an impediment to him from an offensive standpoint. Better game on Monday, but horrendous game against the Rockets on Sunday.
Memphis side of things, no Jay Huff, no Gigi Jackson, Marcus Smart, Vince Williams Jr., or Colin Castleton. But the injury report is clean. Desmond Bane not on it. So he was questionable last game. John Morant not on it. So that's good news on Memphis side. Any other notes on the Grizzlies?
Yeah, not much. Obviously, big spread here. Expect the same starting lineup. They're very comfortable with Jalen Wells. He's starting to get some steam for Rookie of the Year. So would expect them to have those guys out there. And then, Scottie Pippen's minutes are going to be pretty much just behind John Morant. They're not really overlapping him that much. And then everything else is the same. Zach Edey got it handed to him by Zoo, who, was questionable with a calf. Should note, Clippers don't play today, but Zoo's injury, which we made a big deal of because he has a history of it, was just because he got kicked in the calf. It wasn't like a strain or anything. So good sign for Zoo and those of us who are enjoying the Zubats best ball shares and season long shares. The Wizards just upgraded all their guys, so that's good news. They're Jordan Clarkson out. Utah didn't play today. Anyways, yeah. So
They
yeah,
do.
pretty good. Oh, they do. Okay. Yep. So we'll
We
talk
still
about
have them
that.
to go.
Yep. So what was I going to say? Oh, the other note too is Zach Edey's been playing garbage time. In the last 2 games that he's been in the lineup with garbage time, he's been there. He's been out there. So that's something to consider. So we were going to dock him for garbage time, but he's been getting it because they don't want to play Brandon Clark in garbage time, and now that J Huff is out, so you could have some minute ceiling coming out for Edey in a much better matchup after a really, really bad one. The Clippers' interior defense has been quite good. Shout out Zoo.
Josh and Chad has been asking if you expect Mobo to start against Edey. He's drawn the starting spot against against all the big guys of late. So no reason to think otherwise here tonight, correct?
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, if they're going to start him against Cat and, as you know, the other big guys, I mean, if they're just going to roll the dice, Şengün, just roll with it.
All right, let's go to Detroit and Sacramento. On the Detroit side, Jalen Duren listed probable with a right ankle sprain. Ron Holland and Isaiah Stewart are questionable here. Holland gets the illness non-COVID variety. Stewart in recovery from the left knee hyperextension/sprain. What are your notes on the potential availability tonight of the Detroit big men and their rookie Ron Holland?
Yeah, illness tag for Ron Holland. You know the drill. I don't have much to say there. So if he didn't play, that would condense a little bit on Asar, Simone Fontecchio. Maybe we see Wendell Moore sneak in there for some minutes. I don't think they would play Paul Reed at the 4. As you noted there, Isaiah Stewart, questionable tag for the knee that cost him some time. He did get some shots up, and it looks like he's going to be back sooner rather than later, according to JB Bickerstaff. I think he said that on Monday. So decent chance Stewart is back to resume most of, if not all, the non-Duren center minutes there. And then, Ivy back to normal-ish from the knee thing that bothered him for a couple games. Cade's playing great. And the Pistons, man, they're playing pretty well here, 8-9 on the road, playing some pretty solid basketball as they stayed west for this road trip that they're on right now.
Yeah, you'll be happy to know after years of dogging Cade Cunningham, specifically relative to Jalen Suggs, because I'm a big Jalen Suggs fan. I have jumped on the Cade bandwagon this year. I have Pistons plus 400 to make the playoffs in the East. So I'm a believer in this edition of the Pistons, unlike what I'm seeing. Sacramento side.
I'll say really quick. I'm surprised he's like double digits to 1 most improved. I think he should be closer, man. Like he's playing really, really well.
He's playing great. Yeah, playing great. And playing on both sides of the ball, something he hadn't really done much early in his career. Sacramento side, Domantas Sabonis questionable here with an illness, not present at shoot-around today. We know Sabonis plays through most things, and he's not a player that needs to go through shoot-around. So I wouldn't necessarily use that as an excuse to say, oh, he's definitely missing tonight. I would use that as to say he's like pretty sick, probably, that he's not at shoot-around. But what's your read on Sabonis tonight?
Yeah, as you noted, not at shoot-around, but I say this all the time. Guys who are sick, they don't want you at shoot-around. They want you resting up and taking, don't worry about getting in the arena and rest up and save your energy. So, yeah, like we talk about this too. Like if he had like an ankle sprain and he didn't go to shoot-around, that would speak a lot louder than this and not going to shoot-around with an illness. So, yeah, still a pretty good chance to play. He is injured as well. He's dealing with a back injury. We saw back-to-back game 10 decisions that came out 30 minutes before in the lineup. Look, okay. Also dealing with an ankle injury. So he's quite banged up on top of the illness tag. But this dude is so tough. So I expect him to tough it out. I mean, the guy played through a freaking broken thumb for a week. So expect him in. But it's illness, though. Despite my confidence, you never know. He might be really, really sick and have to miss. So, yeah, other than that, don't have too much else. Obviously, if he didn't play, I think Trey Lyles' minutes have been back to normal. Normal-ish, I should say. So he might get the start. We've seen him start there before. Curious your thoughts on that. Against Duren, though, maybe they go Len. Actually, they probably just start Len for Duren.
I
think Trey Lyles would get I think he would beat Len's minutes by a pretty good bit.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Get Trey Lyles in there more against the Isaiah Stewart minutes. See how much Isaiah Stewart takes away from Jalen Duren if Isaiah Stewart is back, or those Paul Reed minutes, and then have Len just eat some of those Duren minutes, because you'd rather have Len if he's or Orlando Robinson, whoever they choose to play of that group. I think it would be Len, but whoever they choose, just the bigger guy to eat some of those Duren minutes before Lyles, just so he doesn't have to eat all of them. You'd rather have the rotation flipped so that those guys aren't going up against Stewart or Reed or whatever.
And Mike Brown loves the third unit to first unit stuff. So that would be one of his go-to moves as well.
Okay, Utah and Portland, last game to talk through here. As you noted, Utah's injury report just got messy. They ruled out Jordan Clarkson, John Collins, Keontae George. They still have Colin Sexton with this available tag that's been ongoing for weeks. So 3 starters, starter-ish players out here with Keontae George, John Collins, Jordan Clarkson. What are your notes on what we expect to see from what's left of Utah tonight?
Yeah, this is pretty tough on the Clarkson thing. So the starting lineup should be the same. That's Colin Sexton, Svi Mikhailuk, Micah Potter, who did start in the last game and played okay. Laurie Markkinen, huge role coming, obviously, and then Walker Kessler. But yeah, now that you're moving Jordan Clarkson, feel pretty good that they're probably just going to go bigger now. There's a chance so that their 9 should be excuse me, pretty much the same. Mentioned the starters, but I would say that the locks for the bench would be Isaiah Collier, Johnny Juzang, Bryce Sensabaugh, and Kyle Filipowski. They've been running 10. So that leaves the last 10th man to being one of 2 guys. Drew Eubanks, who's been out of the rotation now that Kyle Filipowski's back. They've played Filipowski at the 4 in the past, including in the preseason. So they could play that route, or maybe they bring Cody Williams back to life. Here he did not. Yeah, he's not listed. So yeah, it's between Eubanks and Cody Williams, but obviously you're removing Colin Sexton. I'm sorry, you're removing Jordan Clarkson, and you're adding potentially huge role for Colin Sexton. 36 minutes. They've been playing him, man. We saw that John Collins 38-minute game a while ago. 36 minutes in the last game for Sexton. So you're getting him in a really good matchup now. So we're moving, and again they're playing their guys. So we could get in a tight spread here. There could be I'm making it. This is the Mike Gallagher bad basketball game of the night with 2 bad defenses here. So yeah, there's some upside on this Jazz team against a struggling Blazers defense.
It is the nightcap. I'll throw a third name in the mix. I do think there's a good chance that it's Patty Mills as the 10th guy, just because of like the thing you're replacing with Jordan Clarkson in that unit is shooting and offense. And so I don't think it's going to be guys who don't take shots. That's why like Eubanks doesn't use a lot of possessions. Cody Williams doesn't use a lot of possessions. If in generally there's not like there's not a lot of heavy staggers that Will Hardy does with his rotation. So it's kind of like first unit, second unit. Yeah. In that second unit, I'm just worried about how much offense they can create. Juzang can create a little bit of offense. Filipowski can create a little bit of offense. I guess Sensabaugh can. So maybe they end up going that way. But I'm worried about kind of the shooting in that second unit. So I'm not saying that I think Mills is like for sure the guy. I just think he's in the mix with those other 2 guys as well. Yeah. Okay, Portland side. Delano Banton, questionable left hip contusion. Robert Williams III, a.k.a. Time Lord, listed questionable with the right ankle sprain. They're still without Matisse Thybulle. What are your notes on the Blazers?
Should be good. We saw Delano Banton, same listing as the last game, and did return, played 13 minutes there. Time Lord also beginning listing there. Hasn't been playing, but doesn't sound serious. They might, they may hold him out. I mean, clearly this team has their center position covered. And DeAndre Ayton played okay according to Chauncey Billups. So they've been playing him. We talked about this last week. They ran this pretty wacky double point guard, Scoot, Ant, Denny Avdia, and then Klingon and Time Lord in a lineup together. So they've been playing Time Lord at the 4 spot. So he might play, but they might just hold him out. I mean, clearly they're going to try to trade him. So Banton returning does take away a little bit of minutes upside from Shane Sharp, Anthony Simons, Scoot Henderson, but those guys will be locked and loaded. And their minutes have been pretty strong. When the Blazers are in it, we've seen pretty strong mid-30s out of Ayton at times, Jeremy Grant at times, Sharp and Anthony Simons. The Jazz defense has been pretty bad. The Blazers did get wrecked in what was DeAndre Ayton's probably worst game of the season when he played 17 minutes. But yeah, opportunities certainly there, especially with this team on the Jazz side being pretty banged up.
Yeah, I'm still broken from that one because I had sweats going with Walker Kessler, Keontae George, Anthony Simons, and the Jazz win by 42 in that game. They did have John Collins. They did have Keontae George. They did not have Clarkson in that game, but they had more firepower than they have tonight. So we'll see if Portland can put up a better fight tonight. All right, that will do it for this edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. As always, appreciate you guys consuming the free content here. If you're interested in supporting us more on the free content side, you can subscribe to this YouTube channel, hit the bell, and get notifications when more content goes out. We just recorded another episode of the Established Run NBA podcast. Video edition will come later this week onto this channel as well. And if you're interested in checking out the premium side of our content, you can go to establishedrun.com/subscribe-NBA, where you will see slashed prices. We have our holiday sale going, so discounted prices on weekly, monthly, or seasonal passes to the DFS product specifically. These are one-time purchase codes, so if you sign up for a weekly pass, you will get that discount for the first week, and then if you choose to renew, it would renew at the original price tag. So check out establishedrun.com/subscribe-NBA to take advantage of our holiday sale offerings there. Other ways to support this free content, as always, smash that like button, feed that algorithm. That helps feed our families. Allows us to feed you the NBA injury information analysis you need each and every day to set your season-long lineups, your DFS lineups, and make your spread bets and your prop bets. So in the time of feeding around the holidays here, make sure that the like button gets fed as well. Nom, 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 nom. We'll see you again tomorrow. Take care, everybody.